welcome back. So one of the most important elements that we can add to a level is feedback. If we create an interactable object and the player interacts with it, but there's no feedback showing the player what happened, it's as if that interaction never occurred. The player needs to see some sort of information that tells them that what they're doing is having an effect on the world. To do this, we're going to start by adding lights to our scene that we can interact with in Blueprint. So I added a wall from the Edith Finch library so that we have something for that light to shine against so that we can see that light in action. Then I'm going to go ahead and add a light to the scene so that we can use that light as our feedback. So to add a light, I can go up to my quickly add and I can go to lights and I'm going to add a point light. I'm going to move this point light next to my door and close to my wall so that it doesn't have to light up quite that much, but it's going to make my wall glow a little more because there's a light directly on it. And this light will become our feedback for the status of our door. Now, if we wanted to, we could add a mesh behind this of like a little light panel or a little light box, and we could adjust this to make it work, but I'm going to just work with just the light directly. And yes, if you want to add things to your scene where the player enters a trigger and it turns on the lights for an area, or using a timeline, you could make the lights flicker or change inside of the area. You can definitely do that using the same tools we're going to learn here today. So with my light selected, I'm going to turn it into a blueprint by clicking on the button to convert the actor into a blueprint. Once again, it's a new subclass, but now it's a child of light, of point light. I'm going to go ahead and give this a name, BP Door Light, and I'm going to make sure that it's in my blueprints folder. Now that I have my light, I can go into my event graph, and we can create a couple of events that work with our light. So I'm going to delete these nodes that we're not using, tick and begin play, and I'm going to create some new custom nodes that we are going to use. So our first custom event is going to be turn on. Our next custom event is going to be to turn off. And then I'm going to make a new custom event to turn the light green. And another custom event to turn the light white again. So to turn on our light, we're going to come off the turn on event and we're going to look under light that there's an option for setting our light intensity. So I'm going to go to set intensity of my point light component. To turn on my light, we'll see that it's automatically accessing this point light component. And to turn it on, I'm going to set a new intensity to 1000. When we turn off our light, I'm going to do the same idea, so I can set intensity for my point light component to an intensity of 0. When we want to change the color of our light, one of those we can come in here and we can set light color. This will allow us to choose our new color that we want to set it to. So to turn mine green, I'm going to come into my green values. There's my nice green color. And same idea here, set light color. And that one, my light color, is going to be white. Let's add a little yellow to it to make it a little more interesting than just pure bright white. All right, so of course we want to make sure that we take our blueprint and make it look nice and pretty. So I'm going to separate these into different areas. And with our blueprint a little prettier to look at, we're going to save, compile, and go back into Unreal. So now we need to connect to our light object and tell it to run those events when those events should occur. So I'm going to select my door here. And right now, we're this BP door trigger. And right now, we're a door locked. but our door locked doesn't currently connect to a light. So I'm going to actually make another child class that's going to work for our objects that have a light. So once again, I can go to my edit the blueprint and I can choose the drop down, right? And we can create a child blueprint class this time. So once again, we're doing a new subclass. Now it's a child of BP door locked, right? And my child of BP door locked is going to be BP door locked with light. So now I have a new type of door, which is a door that has a light that it's going to work with. So in order to access that light, I need a variable, door light. I need to set the type, BP door light. I need to expose it so that we can connect that door light in Unreal. In my event graph, we've got the idea of our begin play, which is going to run our parent begin play. But then my begin play is also going to want our door to be in a default position, however we're set for this setup. So when I start playing, I want to look at whether or not my door is locked. So I'm going to create a branch. That branch is going to be based on whether or not my door is locked. So with my branch, I'm going to get my door light. And I'm going to access the events to turn it off and to turn it on again. And if my door is locked true, we will turn off the light. If my door is locked false, we will turn on the light. So this will set our light in the correct format when our door begins, when it enters the world, when it first starts. But we're going to have to also do something when we go to open the door. So I'm going to add a new event. Event open door. The first thing that I want to do is I want to call my parent function to open the door. This parent function will do that Boolean where it checks to see if the door is locked or not. If it is locked, it'll say that it's locked. If it's not locked, it will open it, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to look, and when we go to open the door, if it's still locked, right, we'll turn the light different colors based on whether or not it's locked. So again, we'll go in here and we'll say, let's do another branch. Again, we're going to come off whether or not it is locked. If we tried to open the door and the door is still locked, I'm going to get my door light. We're going to make sure that the door color stays its default color. If the door is not locked and we were successful at opening it, we're going to make sure that it turns green. And then we also need to adjust this so that when we unlock the door, we turn on the light. So the light will turn on when we unlock the door. So here inside of my BP door locked with light, I'm going to need to get the event for unlock. Here's my unlock door. I want to start by doing what the parent does. So we're going to call to the parent function. And then once we actually unlock the door from the parent, now we're going to turn on that light. So I'm going to come from my door light. So I can drag this out. We can get door light. And we can call our turn on function. So when the door is unlocked, we're going to turn on the light. So save, compile, go back to Unreal. Because we changed our door to be a new type of object, it's now a door locked with light object. It's not going to be the same door that it was before. So we're going to need to make sure that we connect that door up to all of the objects that we want to connect it to. So under door light, we need to make sure that we connect to the door light that we want to use. We need to make sure that our key is hooked up, connected to our new door to open. We need to make sure that the trigger that operates our door is also set up to connect to our door. So with everything reconnected and ready to go, I can press play. By start, it turned that light off by default. If I go to try and open, it says it's locked. Now it changed the light to the same way that it was. The intensity is not on, so we can't see it. However, when I pick up my key, it turns the light on. Oh, I put a little too bright on that door, and when I open it turns the light to green. So let's go back and change that intensity. That was a little too bright. So I'm going to go back to my BP door light. Here's our turn on component. That intensity may be a little high. I'm going to cut it down to just 100, and we'll see if that's a little nicer. So give it a play. Everything starts in the off position. I pick up my key. There's my light on. Still pretty bright. When I open the door, it turns green. So you can use this to create lights in your level that are affected by Blueprint. You can turn lights green when something is unlocked, red when it's locked. You can turn lights on in a room when you open the door. You can turn lights off when a player enters to give them kind of a frightful scare. So start with an extremely well-lit room, and when the player enters, the lights go out, and then there's a delay, and a flickering light may come on, or another light may come back on after a short delay. So all kinds of feedback and things that we can do by editing lights inside of Blueprint.